We talked a few weeks ago, not sure exactly when, about knowing the difference between stuff that comes to you from your thought mind, if I can use that phrase, and stuff that comes to you from the real you or your instinctive mind. Don't know if you recollect the video. I want to talk a little bit more about thought today, for the simple reason that there are some thoughts in your head that are actually very useful to you. A lot of the thoughts in your head are actually counterproductive all the way down to toxic. I want to talk about what might loosely be described as the buckets of thought into which various different types of activity, neural activity in your brain actually fall. Does the 70,000 looped thoughts in your head that enable you make it through the day? Some of those are actually useful. They're programs that you picked up when you were young and impressionable. And some of those are programs that you actually use every day. They don't just enable you make it through the day, they enable you make it through the day with an awful lot less effort than might otherwise be the case. Case in point, your program that enables you put one foot in front of the other. And I don't mean that figuratively speaking, I mean actually walking. That's something that you should just let yourself do. But all the rubbish that gets in our way, that falls into a bucket of thought that you need to actually take and let drift away. The most recent neuroscience research shows that it won't drift away because it's stored in the back of your head, but what will happen is that it is like bricked up, if I can put it like that. The more we meditate, the more our subcortical brain enables us to be in the moment. The more that being in the moment precludes those toxic or useless thoughts coming into our conscious awareness at all. So that's one bucket of thought. There is obviously another bucket right down the other end of the spectrum, which isn't really thought at all. It's the aha moments and things that occur to you, and things that simply kind of almost fall into your conscious awareness as a result of you being in the zone. These thoughts, in a separate bucket obviously, would also include things like you evaluating what is going on in the moment. We've talked before about how when you're in the zone you know exactly what's going on. That takes a certain level of judgment. But that judgment, using your facilities, your being mind and your doing mind in that environment, is totally different to the prejudicial judgment that we would normally use, where we're using our minds normally on automatic pilot, using the prejudices that we've carried around with us since we were 2 or 3 years old. There's another bucket in the middle, a third bucket. Well, it's actually a second bucket if you count from left to right or right to left, whichever way you're looking at this. There's a third bucket in the middle, and that is the stuff that you've learned over the years that is useful to you from the perspective of, if I can use the phrase, what you do for a living. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about paid work in this case, although an awful lot of people do what they're doing for a living in the context of paid work. An engineer has a body of thought that is useful to him or her in the context of carrying out his duties as an engineer, for which he is paid. And the more he allows the doing and being part of his brain to dip in and out of that expertise and body of thought, bucket of thought, the more effortlessly he or she will be able to do it. Same for accountants, although I'm not sure what bucket accountants actually fall into ultimately, but that's neither here nor there. Same for any competence that you might have, that I might have, in terms of the knowledge and thoughts that we store in this middle bucket. If I didn't have the body of knowledge that I have in relation to the subjects that we cover in these videos, I wouldn't be making these videos. If I was thinking about whether I'm getting my point across or not, using bucket number 1, the toxic or useless thoughts, I'd never get my point across properly. I'd get my point across, I hope, or I think, or I believe, in flow as a result of allowing the doing mind dip in and out of my body of knowledge so that what is inside comes out effortlessly. So can an engineer, so should an engineer, so can or should a scientist, so can or should an architect, you name it. It's easier to do what you have to do in your professional life when you're in flow. Dipping in and out of this body of knowledge and ensuring that the other stuff, the toxic or useless stuff, is simply let go on its not so merry way.